sprinklers have stopped spraying. The paint has been laid on the fields. It's NFL season, baby. You can smell it. It's here. Week one, baby. Thursday night football. We got Chiefs, Ravens, Super Bowl champs, AFC Conference Championship rematch on the table right now. Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews. We got guys being dudes. That's what this is. Cole, how you doing? How was your last week? How pumped are you for week one?
I mean, I just wish we had 2 more months of off season that we could talk about the NFC South on repeat and the NFC West and AFC West, and I'm not even ready for football season.
And for like a solid 5 minutes, us just go win, win, loss, win, loss,
Yeah,
loss, win. Okay. Yeah, no, terrible. That was terrible podcasting, but we had to get through it. We wanted you guys to be updated with everything that was going on in the NFL so that you were prepared and you were more well off with whether it be gambling, whether you just like watching fantasy football, whatever you want to do, whatever you like. We're here to provide you with answers to the test so that you are more prepared going forward. So we'll get right into week one. Cole and I discussed right before the podcast started that uh typically we have our downs first, second, third, fourth, and then our pick six. With it being week one, first down is typically our review of the prior week. So we'll get right into second down, which is our preview of the upcoming week. We'll start off on Thursday Night Football. We have Baltimore Ravens at Kansas City Chiefs. Right now on FanDuel, the Chiefs are getting 3 points, and the over-under is 47.5 for the game. Cole, talk to me.
I think this game is. If you were to tell me basically around draft time who I would pick to win this game, I would say the Ravens in a revenge mode. But I like the Chiefs in this game. I think it'll be a good matchup. I don't know if the Ravens offense is going to be as dynamic and hard to figure out year after year. And I don't really think I'm not buying the Derrick Henry buzz in the Ravens offense. So I'll just go ahead and say I think that the Chiefs defense is very good. I like their ability to put pressure on a team like the Ravens on offense, like they did in the AFC Championship. And I know they still have a lot to figure out with the weapons that they brought in this year, and it's maybe not the best for chemistry week one, but I like Mahomes in a prime time week one game. So
Banner night, baby.
yeah,
Couple things. Do you think that the L'Jarius Sneed, like his absence, will play a role on the outside with Ravens receivers and Kansas City's defense?
um, I'm honestly more worried about how the Ravens are gonna do the downfield passing game than I am about how the Chiefs are going to take care of their restructured secondary.
Gotcha. The only worry I have with the Chiefs, and this is just like we're gonna see it over time this year. The only worry I have with the Chiefs week one is the retooled wide receiver room. Obviously Rashi Rice is like the big returning name, pending suspension. Doesn't look like he will be suspended, but who knows? Uh, he'll be available for this game. Xavier Worthy will be playing. Hollywood Brown not playing. But Xavier Worthy, obviously a rookie from Texas. How's that chemistry with Patrick Mahomes going to be? Is he going to know the playbook that Andy Reid? That's a pretty intense and complicated playbook that a rookie is going to have to understand and be relied upon in a kind of a big role right off the bat. That's my one worry, but obviously he still has old reliable in his tight end, Travis Kelce, and then he obviously has Isaiah Pacheco in the backfield with him. Another returning piece. The Chiefs' offensive line has some holes in it. That is another key piece going into this game. Uh, word out of Kansas City is they have a lot of concerns with the left tackle position. I can't remember the dude's name right off the top of my head right now, but that is something to watch out for. Baltimore's defense getting after Patrick Mahomes. Watching Patrick Mahomes for all these years, we know that the way to beat him, it's the same as Tom Brady. You got to put pressure on him. Got to get him off his game and put him into bad situations where he can make bad throws. And he doesn't have an A game. He has a B game or a C game. And then you take advantage. But I do agree with you. I feel like I'm just on the Chiefs this week.
Yeah, and I mean, not a better matchup to open the season. I love the whole primetime slate, but I think it's obviously they're going to give it to the Super Bowl defending champs. And looking forward to, I want the Ravens to win, but I got the Chiefs.
Yeah. I probably would be on the Chiefs as well. All right, let's head into Friday night. We go to Brazil. Two green teams. Brazil's a green country, but they're not allowed to wear their green uniforms. So we got the Green Bay Packers, away game for them. That's important. At Philadelphia Eagles, but in Brazil. Um, Take it away. This is your favorite team. Start it off.
Yeah, I mean, mentioning the away part, I'm really excited to see what the dynamic is with the crowd. I think there's people saying, "Oh, it's going to be a Europe game where everyone just screams the entire time, so it's really just going to be a true neutral site." But there's been a lot of reports that, I mean, Brazil, ever since they announced the game, was going to be the Eagles Packers versus Browns Eagles.
Yeah,
Uh,
the Browns were thrown in there. I don't know why.
it was, yeah, I think it was, they were supposed to be, but that because the Packers didn't have a big enough airport for the Packers to fly direct from Green Bay to Brazil, and then we found a charter flight that whatever, who cares? We're not talking. My part is, I think the crowd's going to be crazy strong for the Packers, and if I'm wrong, okay. But regardless, it'll be better than a hostile Philly environment for still a very young Packers team. Packers are younger this year than they were last year, and they're still the youngest team in the NFL.
You
So
loved to plug that youngest age last year. What's the average age now?
I think it's about point two or point three younger. I had when I they're gonna announce it in every single infographic during every starting drive of the game for the next 17 weeks. So you'll see that weekly on how old the Packers are. Regardless, it's gonna be it's gonna be interesting. I like the Eagles in the game. I really think the Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Myron Williams, uh, the Huff, and Josh Sweat defensive end combo, like Bryce Huff coming from the Jets, that's a no brainer to replace Hassan Reddick. And now you've got a really tough front five that you can rotate through. Um, I'm under the belief that the Packers offensive line is still settling itself out and is not fully prepared for a really dominant defensive front. So I think it's going to be really difficult for Jordan Love and the Packers offense to get going early. And I don't think our defense is dominant to the point where they can stop a really dynamic running offense and one of the best receiving cores in the NFL. So I think it'll be Eagles by 10
10. The line right
at
now on
least.
FanDuel is 2.5.
Yeah, and I say that in the means of I don't think it's going to be like just a out of control blowout, but I don't think the Packers are ever going to really be the team that was in control, and that's what I'll say. And I think it's just going to get out of hand. The Eagles are going to dominate time of possession, and we'll get tired on defense, and they'll be able to just plug in some points in the second half and take it away.
Sounds like you're a little bit concerned with Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter.
Yeah, I mean, it's also the edge rush too. I think they've got an extremely fast edge rush combo, and I mean, our two tackles are young, talented, but not necessarily either of them are fully proven in Zach Tom and Rasheed Walker. Walker being far less unproven than Tom. But our right guard, Sean Ryan, is probably going to be the starter because our first round pick, Jordan Morgan's been injured. And he's very inconsistent, extremely inconsistent. And our center, Josh Myers, was one of the lowest rated through Pro Football Focus centers in the league last year. So I just see our right side of the offensive line really struggling.
That's tough. That's tough, especially to start the season with that. Especially to start the season with your first round pick not playing in the first game, especially offensive
Yeah.
line. Want to get them reps, want to get them accustomed to the game. I do kind of see it your way a little bit. If we see anything close to what the Eagles were like in 2020 three would it be three? It's 2024 or 2022. The year that they went to the Super Bowl, I would say that it's more close to what you're predicting than what FanDuel has at plus 2.5. Do the
My
Eagles have that in the tank? Who knows? A lot depends on that defense. I think that the Packers will be able to score points in this game. You are correct with probably having the disadvantage in the front seven, but I believe with the Eagles' secondary being as young as it is, and the Packers with Jordan Love and those wide receivers on the outside, Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, Dontavian Wicks, now having another year and off season together in order to become more of a wholesome group and cohesive, knowing where each other are going to be on the field in time and space. I think that plays a benefit to the Packers. But if the pass rush is getting there quick, it's not really going to matter. But I do kind of see it how you're saying, with the Eagles probably having an upper hand, but I think it'll be closer than what you're thinking.
okay, all right.
All right, we'll go into the 1 o'clock games. We'll go into Sunday. We're going to Chicago, where we'll see Will Levis with the Tennessee Titans take on the rookie Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, I think this is a fun game because I think there's a potential chance that the Chicago Bears blow out the Titans, and I think it's a pretty strong chance. And if this happens, the Chicago Bears storyline for this season just goes out of control. And I'm kind of excited for it. I want the Bears to just destroy the Titans. And I don't say that as a Packers fan that's like I want the Bears to win, but it would make for an interesting storyline to the start of the NFL this season.
It would be, especially if Caleb Williams has a big game. Like if he performs anywhere to the level that we've seen him play at USC or Oklahoma, and he puts together a solid offense for the Bears, who had a solid defense last year. That would be very impressive. I am interested to see Will Levis in year two. A lot of people are high on him, thinking that he like might be the guy and things like that. We did see some promise out of him last year, notably the Miami game where the Titans were down and he led a humongous comeback. Important to note here that DeAndre Hopkins, his favorite wide receiver from last season, might not play in this game. He did suffer an injury in the preseason, so he might be out. Uh, he does have two newcomers on the outside with Tyler Boyd and Calvin Ridley being there as his wide receivers. And then he does have Tajay Spears in the backfield. I'm high on Tajay Spears. I think he's going to have a big season. The Brian Callahan being the head coach, we've yet to see what he's like as a offensive play caller for Will Levis. But the reason why I'm high on Tajay Spears is because he brought in his father, Bill Callahan, former offensive line coach for the Browns, big running prowess when he was with the Browns. Got those offensive linemen on the same page and put them in the right direction. A lot of pulling guard action, a lot of pulling center action in order to open up holes for the running back, Nick Chubb, but now Tajay Spears is the running back. Tony Pollard is also there. I'm still not sold on Tony Pollard being 100% what he was 2 years ago that we saw. That leg injury he suffered against the 49ers in that playoff game a couple years ago, I still think that might hinder him. I don't know why. He just didn't look like the same player last year, so it's yet to be proven what Tony Pollard is. But I'm high on Tajay Spears. He ended the year last year on a high note. as a rookie. I think year two is going to be paid dividends for him. So a lot of young talent in this game, but I do lean your way with Bears.
Yeah, and I mean, one thing is the Titans are not a bad team, and it's just I don't think they have the pieces on defense. I think they've lost a lot of their star players over the years. And I liked Vrabel. I think their front office and everything is kind of not on par with what the league is. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what the Titans come to be. Excited to see this game. Excited to see Caleb Williams with Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Roma Dunze. Saw that clip from Hard Knocks with Roma Dunze going one-on-one with Jalen Johnson after practice. Fun clip to watch. Roma Dunze looks quick, in and out of his cuts. Good stuff. We'll head to Atlanta where the Pittsburgh Steelers are taking on the Atlanta Falcons. Is Kirk playing?
Is that a question mark?
That's a question mark.
Is it really? So that's not known. He's questionable.
I just haven't heard that he is going to play.
See, that makes me think he is playing. If you haven't heard that he's not playing, I think it's not a storyline. But again, I mean, who knows? If Atlanta's favored in this game, I think there's no shot Michael Penix is the starter. And I say that because I think the Steelers aren't a bad roster. And yeah, I mean, I have Atlanta in this game. I think they are the better roster and better team. And as I had them predicted, I put them, I think, at 12-5, which is lofty. And I don't know if that's necessarily going to happen. But when you look at their schedule, I think there's a favorable outcome and ability for them to surprise a lot of people.
Kirk Cousins says he will be ready to go for week one.
Okay. Too easy.
Line right now for this game is plus 3.5, 3.5 points going to the Steelers. So Atlanta's favored at home. With Kirk playing, that is a little bit of a difference. Russell Wilson obviously being the starting quarterback for the Steelers, we don't really know what that is. Wide receiver room for the Steelers is a little bit depleted. Number one wide receiver being George Pickens. Falcons will be able to key on him, so it's going to be other dudes that are going to have to be able to make the plays. Najee Harris in the backfield. Jalen Warren questionable for this game as of right now. Not really sure how that plays out. Steelers did load up on the offensive line this year in order to try and shore up the running game and also the pass protection for Russell Wilson. Um, but we'll see what the Steelers are. Always a good coach team. I feel like they are tend to tend to come out of the gate slow. Mike Tomlin then puts the team together and they kind of put themselves in position for the playoffs year after year. Never had a losing record. We'll see what Mike Tomlin does this year. We'll head to Miami, though, where we have a Florida battle. Miami
Man,
Dolphins take on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jaguars getting 3.5 points.
are you mean Miami is 3.5?
No, Jaguars are getting 3.5 points. Like they are the underdog.
Okay, that's okay. Gotcha. Yeah. Um. Yeah, I have Miami in this game, and I basically did my stuff on the spreads. Yeah, I picked. I'm not giving you my pick six. I'm just telling you what how I think this game will go. I think the Dolphins will win by more than 4 points, and that'll be something that um we know how Mike McDaniel and the offense for the Miami Dolphins always turns out early on in the season. Um, it's a Florida battle, Florida Heat. Both teams are kind of acclimated. I think both teams are in a similar just a spot of being overrated late in season. It's like they start out strong and then they just can't put it together later on in the year. Um, both teams have a really strong roster. I think it just comes down to the playmaking threats and the speed of the Dolphins is something that stands out and is there's a shock factor to the speed they have especially when you start out a season and you're not playing your starters for the whole training camp and everything and live action. And then boom, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. Fucking, I'm missing like four speed demons at running back: Devin A. Chain, Raheem Mostert, Jalen Wright. Like they're fucking the shit. But anyways,
Yeah, Miami always starts fast, man, and then those winter months come along and they slow down just a bit. So we'll see that this weekend. We'll be interested to see how what you said Jacksonville was a little bit different in their approach to the preseason this year. Playing Trevor Lawrence and the starters a lot more than a lot of other teams did, which was surprising. Miami, on the other hand, almost didn't play any starters during the preseason. So we'll kind of see that rust and kind of like the acclimation of the NFL speed and things like that maybe play a factor in this game that does kind of make me think to lean towards Jacksonville, but I do agree with you that the Miami Dolphins speed is just top notch. It might be a problem for the Jacksonville Jaguars secondary. We'll go to Cincinnati right now. This is going to be a boring game. I can already tell you right now. New England Patriots visit the Cincinnati Bengals. No Drake May, obviously. Jacoby Brissett's going to be the starter. Joe Burrow back healthy again. Jamar Chase going to hold out, not play in this game. Interesting. What do you got?
is confirmed.
It's not confirmed, but a lot of reports are being said that Jamar Chase does not plan on suiting up.
Yeah, I mean at this point he hasn't practiced all season, so
Yeah,
makes sense.
we'll see how much that plays a factor too. Like he does not if he does suit up, him not getting any reps in the offseason with the team, with Joe, with anything, will Jamar Chase be the elite player we've seen him to be?
And I think that's the only reason why the spread is as low.
As low as it is, 8.5. Yeah, I do believe that is also a pretty low. That is a pretty low spread for how bad I think the Patriots are going to be. Whether their defense does perform as high as it can, who knows? But 8.5 does seem pretty low.
Like, how are they going to score? How are they going to score points? Like, Ramondre Stevenson is their best offensive player, and he's simply not good enough to be a top five offensive player for a team. Like, and I'm don't say that with disrespect. But yeah, I see this game being 20-6 is what I see this game being in terms of if the Bengals struggle without Jamar Chase.
Yeah, and then it plays a role of I just mentioned that Tyler Boyd moved on in the offseason. If Jamar Chase isn't there, that's two wide receivers that Joe Burrow's familiar with that aren't going to be there. Let alone also Joe Mixon is gone. It's
Yeah.
Chase Brown and Zach Moss in the backfield. So how well will T. Higgins is in a contract year. I'm kind of high on T. Higgins right now, thinking that contract year he's going to try and prove his point. Jamar Chase kind of playing the Justin Jefferson card of I've proven my point. I'm a top player in this league. Pay me my money. Pay me my money. That's what Jamar Chase is right now.
Who would you who would you give more who would you give more money, Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase?
That is an interesting question. Obviously, the two playing at LSU, um, having their back and forth, thinking about the whole thing. Jamar Chase plays with Joe Burrow, Justin Jefferson for a couple seasons with Kirk. Justin Jefferson has had some injury trouble. Mm, I think Jamar, dude.
I would go Justin Jefferson, but I think both you can make the case like Jamar Chase is not going to be asking for anything less than Justin Jefferson. Like he was drafted earlier. He's got obviously the belief that he's the most talented. And I think if you're a Bengals fan, there's an argument that you could say he is the most talented of the two. But just as an unbiased football fan, I think Justin Jefferson's the best receiver in the league right now. And Jamar Chase is probably top four.
Yeah, I mean, we could have that discussion anytime, like who we think the best wide receivers are. We could go on and on about it. Um, Good conversation to have. I wouldn't be surprised if Jamar Chase does get more money than Justin Jefferson, though. But it also wouldn't surprise me if he gets less because of just the construction of the Cincinnati Bengals, with Mike Brown not being one of the top owners, like with a big bank account. Mike Brown is the lowest of the low. Like in in retrospect, thinking about all these NFL owners, he is the poorest owner in the NFL. That's a fact.
The poorest billionaire in the NFL.
Yeah, that's a fact, though. He is the poorest. So when money's not there, you can't pay that guy. So we'll see what ends up happening. I would love to see Jamar Chase play. He's one of my favorite players to watch since he's been at LSU, since he was at LSU. We'll head to Indianapolis, where the Houston Texans take on the Indianapolis Colts. Anthony Richardson returns from injury. CJ Stroud, big year. Obviously, he got into the playoffs, kicked the shit out of the Browns. Stephon Diggs is now a Texan, and on the depth chart, if you saw. Stephon Diggs is listed as wide receiver three, which is insane to think about.
I mean, a depth chart doesn't matter. Wide receiver three, they're going to start three receivers.
Yeah,
Maybe they're just having it so that he's slot. Tank Dell's shorter, but he's got some burners, and Nico Collins is the boundary receiver. That's kind of a T Higgins esque player.
I'm kind of surprised about this spread as well, with how well the Houston Texans
I know,
went down the stretch last year.
I know,
With this spread being 2.5.
I know, and you know what's crazy is Vegas always knows something, and I'm like, when I saw that spread, I was like, what does Vegas know that we don't know? And minus 2.5, I was thinking, I'm like, that's a no brainer. And obviously, I think the Texans win. Don't get me wrong, the Colts are a good team. I just saw how inconsistent they were with Anthony Richardson at quarterback in the preseason game when they played the entire first half. Anthony Richardson had an incredible first drive. He was 5 for 6 and, you know, looked pretty just versatile, could throw the ball down the field, could rifle it in there, could run for 10 yards and everything. He's big. He's Cam Newton esque, but he's inconsistent with his accuracy, his decision making, his timing. And I think that's going to hurt their offense, especially with they have a really good running attack. They're healthy this year. They've got a good defense. I think they're going to give trouble to the Texans early on, but I just think the Texans have too much
Too many
star power.
weapons. Too many weapons. And when I think about the Texans defense going against Anthony Richardson as a quarterback, D'Amico Ryans as a head coach, I feel like he comes up with pretty good schemes in order to get his guys ready and prepared for different approaches by offenses. So I wouldn't be surprised if Anthony Richardson struggles. We really don't know what Anthony Richardson is at this point in time. Yes, he was drafted high. Yes, he has a lot of talent, but you could say the same about I don't know how many other quarterbacks that were drafted high with tremendous amount of talent. It they have to perform well. And he only played what, 2 games last year?
Would you rather have the Browns walking into this season with Anthony Richardson as their starting quarterback or Deshaun Watson?
Deshaun Watson.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I've done this. I've done this every time, dude. It's like years ago when I was like, you know, Deshaun Kaiser might be the guy, dude. Or Josh McCown. Or no, it was Luke McCown we had first. Luke McCown, he might be the guy. Charlie Fry might be the guy. Cody Kessler might be the guy. List goes on and on, dude. I'd rather have a dude that I know what I'm getting out of him. That's kind of why like if you ask me now if I preferred Baker or Deshaun, I'd say Baker. Would I prefer Jameis over Deshaun? Probably Jameis. but we haven't even gotten there yet. That's a 4 o'clock game. We're still on the 1 o'clock games, buddy.
All right, let's go.
All right, we're going to New York. Minnesota Vikings, New York Giants. Sam Darnold taking the helm for the Minnesota Vikings. Giants. Daniel Jones returns. Brian Dable calling the plays. Malik Neighbors, number one wide receiver. No Saquon Barkley though, baby.
What do you think?
What do I think? I'm excited to see Sam Darnold play. I'm excited to see Sam Darnold, a guy that we just mentioned before, Justin Jefferson. Excited to see him back on the field. I want to see what he can do. Up until he got hurt last year, he was on pace for record numbers in his first 4 seasons in the NFL. Amassing Randy Moss and Jerry Rice's numbers. I think Terrell Owens was also on that list. So it was cool to see that. And then obviously he gets hurt. He wasn't able to kind of continue to put the bar so high as he can. Bryant Giants are a very interesting team. They have a decent amount of talent on that roster, but can Daniel Jones get it done? Can their offensive line protect Daniel Jones? Two questions that have yet to be answered, and the Giants paid him an exorbitant amount of money for what he is as a quarterback, and they're kind of stuck with him.
Yeah, I feel bad for Giants fans. I don't know. Like, I don't know if the Vikings are really going to pull away with this game. Like, I think they probably should, just because I think they might have a little bit of, get some fits from the defensive front from the Giants. And so it might become a little bit of a stalemate early on with defenses taking control and it being low scoring. But I mean the Vikings have some pretty good weapons on offense. I'm going to be honest, and I think Sam Darnold. I think he's actually a pretty fairly well known quantity at this point, and can maintain some consistency with drives down the field if he's protected. Or I don't think he's. I think he's equipped to win some games this year. And
If
he's
he
in a good
doesn't turn over the
situation.
ball, I feel like he puts them in a very good position to win.
Yeah, and I look at both regimes. Like I like Brian Dable, I like Kevin O'Connell. I think both coaches are good offensive minds, but I think the Giants are too out of sorts.
I think that Brian Dable, I think he's about to be dealt a very unfair hand. I think that we saw it on the hard knocks of the offseason where Joe Schoen was saying to him like we're going with Daniel Jones, and I don't think he agreed with it. He's going to try his best to get the best out of the players for the Giants and win, but I could very well see it that this season goes poorly. Joe Schoen is not going to get replaced as GM, but Brian Dable very well could be replaced as the head coach, and that's just an unfair hand.
Yeah,
Kind of crazy that this game is 1.5 towards the Vikings, so the Giants are getting 1.5 points. Vikings being favored with Sam Darnold at quarterback and being away, just surprising to look at. Another snoozer, not really. A game that will see be a little interesting. Go to New Orleans. We got Bryce Young taking on Derek Carr. No Michael Thomas for the Saints. Bryce Young with a lot of his young weapons: Xavier Leggett, Jatavian Sanders. Who else did they bring in? They brought in Deontay Johnson. They got Brooks at the running back position, but he's still recovering from an ACL injury. Um, Interesting game. Early NFC South divisional game. It would surprise me if the Panthers win. Period.
that's why it's a good matchup for me. I think this game is is one of the better games we have on the slate for the one. I just think there's a for the 1 p.m. You've got a really young team who we think is talented um, in the Panthers versus a very veteran laden team that's had success in the past and hasn't really had it recently. Um, under Dennis Allen specific. But I mean, both franchises are kind of in no man's land, and Panthers fans think they're headed in the right direction. Saints fans think they still got some quality years left with some of their core players, and so I think there's still belief, obviously, in Week 1, but uh, I really don't see Carolina, in New Orleans taking this game, and I think New Orleans will cover as well.
I just don't. I think that the Saints are trying to hold on to for dear life for what they had with Drew Brees and Sean Payton, and I think this is the season where, at the end, they should completely tear it down. I'm sorry for Saints fans. Like, probably one of the hardest things to watch and go through is a rebuild, but you do have some dudes that are still formidable for Super Bowl run teams. Marshawn Lattimore, Cameron Jordan. Uh, they do. I can't remember the guy on their offensive line. His name off the top of my head.
Pete,
Maybe Andrews Pete. And then you have Olave on the outside and Rashid Shaheed, but Derek Carr, man, and Dennis Allen, man, like I don't see it. I don't see you winning a Super Bowl with that combination. So, but you are right. It is an exciting game. Could be a close one. I think the Panthers will be a lot better than they were last year. I think those weapons added to Bryce Young will help him, but we'll see. We'll head to the last 1 o'clock game with Buffalo and Arizona. Kyler Murray returns, has Marvin Harrison Jr. on the outside now, and the Buffalo Bills retooled their defense. What do you got for me?
yeah. Just in this game, I know you're going to think it's going to be a close one, and I can see you even picking this as your upset. I do think it'll be a good game. I don't think this is going to be a blowout. Um, in fact, I currently have the Bills -6, but I don't know if that's going to be the case. I just look thinking about it now. I can just see Colin Murray and that offense giving him fits. But I'm curious to see the new look Bills. I think Josh Allen's going to play free this year, and hopefully free as in a good way versus free as in trying to do too much and play reckless football. But I think this is also a huge year for Kyler Murray as a starting quarterback. Like this really is the year for him to stamp his claim as a high quality starter in the league. And if you can't stay on the field, you're not reliable. A team can't depend on you. Then you can't even defend your talent. So I think that's just it's a huge year for him personally. And then let's see what Jonathan Gannon and that coaching staff can do. I really last year was a blank slate, or this year's a blank slate with all the injuries they had last year, and I think it'll be a competitive game.
I don't know if it'll be close, but it'll be interesting. We saw some weird ups and downs out of the Arizona Cardinals last year, especially when Kyler Murray was injured, um, of getting the best out of the players and beating teams like the Cowboys out of nowhere. So if a team like that shows up for the Arizona Cardinals, I would say that it would be a closer game, maybe even a surprise win out of the Cardinals. But let it be known that the Bills are still here to play. AFC East champs, what, 4 years in a row? Were there in the playoffs, could have beaten Patrick Mahomes, but choked, or more or less Stephon Diggs dropped what could have put them into the AFC Championship game. I don't know. I think that the Bills are definitely the better team. I'll say that, and that's about it. We'll go to LA, Las Vegas Raiders playing the LA Chargers. Jim Harbaugh, now the head coach of the LA Chargers. Justin Herbert returns. Different wide receiver group has Lad McConkey, Quentin Johnston, and Josh Palmer in it as his wide receivers. No Austin Eckler. He has J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards. Raiders head coach is now Antonio Pierce. They have Gardner Minshew starting at quarterback. Obviously, Devontae Adams returns on the outside. No Josh Jacobs in the backfield, though. Zamir White taking the head of the backfield. What do you got for this game?
I want to hear what you got first.
I'm excited to see Harbaugh. I want to see what Harbaugh does for Justin Herbert. I want to see if he becomes more they really focus on running the ball and take the ball out of Justin Herbert's hand because we've seen Justin Herbert throw 40, 50 passes in games before and Gus Bradley really lean on him in order to get a win. Uh, Jim Harbaugh is more about the entire team. He is more about the entire team going in one direction, one heartbeat, and all that good jazz, all the stuff he preaches. So it's very interesting to me to see what that offense becomes. I think he has great tools on defense with Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, Derwin James. Obviously, they all have to stay healthy, but good starting pieces for him to build a solid defense like he had at Michigan in this last year when he won the national championship. But I think that what the biggest question mark lies is the offense, like I just said. Different weapons on the outside. I think they're going to lean on Lad McConkey a lot. We'll see what Quentin Johnston is. And Josh Palmer, will he be the wide receiver one? He's going really late in fantasy drafts. We'll see if he ends up being the sleeper that a lot of people like. He might be a league winner, is what I'm trying to say. And then for the Raiders, Gardner Minshew will get you some wins, but I think it's time for them to hang it up. Try and get a quarterback. Quinn Ewers. I don't know. Something like that. Devontae Adams even said it in the receivers show on Netflix that he's getting older. His time frame of like his powers of being this elite wide receiver is running out. Um, I think that Gardner Minshew can get them some wins. I think Antonio Pierce will be a very good coach, but I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if the Raiders win, but like
This is the last year. This is the last year of Devontae Adams being an elite wide receiver, and unless he gets traded, it's going to be a waste. And not saying he'll never be a part of a Super Bowl team. I'm just saying he won't be the core offensive player on the team. Like he will be a piece. I think he's like going to be like a Keenan Allen. I think he's going to age well. Uh, but yeah, and I would say similar to what you were saying, I'm excited to see what Jim Harbaugh's team looks like coming out. Like kind of like you were saying, you're excited to see what he does with the quarterback and how he can turn things around on offense. I really just he's such a spark plug for franchises that I'm curious to see if how quick that team changes its personality. So yeah,
it's it's different changing a culture of college kids who are 18 to 21 than it is changing a culture of an NFL locker room when they're 22 to 37. I feel
yeah,
like.
he's done it both. He's done it. Very few coaches can do both.
Yes.
Both.
Yeah, it's very
So
difficult to do both
my
and
perspective is,
keep going.
yeah,
No, keep
and yeah,
going.
I
Your
think he's
perspective.
very difficult. And yeah, and I like his chances to surprise people this season as a team that can maybe sneak into the playoffs. I'm not saying they're going to, but I like their ability to compete.
They have talent.
I think early on it's gonna be hard to find them. You know that like you just mentioned the receiver room, Josh Palmer, Quentin Johnston, Glenn McConkey. I'm missing one. Uh,
Josh Palmer.
I already said Palmer, but
Oh.
they just they're not a receiving room that you're scared. Oh, Jerry Rice's son.
Oh yeah, Brandon
Uh,
Rice.
Brendan Rice. I'm not. I'm not like seeing where the star power is on that lineup, and I think Jim Harbaugh is going to like really prioritize running the ball, and he's not going to need star power, which is going to make his season impressive. His, I think he's going to win with a really good quarterback and a tough team that plays hard nosed football. I will say I think the Raiders are a tough, hard nosed football team as well. And I think Gardner Minshew is that Kenny Stabler type guy that's just a go out and game type of mentality. And I think early on the Raiders could be good. Not good in terms of they're like a really good team, but I have the Chargers in this game. But I think the Raiders could pose challenges.
Yeah, I think the Raiders can pose challenges. I think this could be a much tougher game than I think some people will assume. The Chargers being favored by 3, I think that's in a good area. It wouldn't have surprised me if it was like 1.5 either. Um, we'll go to Seattle right now, where the Seattle Seahawks, with Mike McDonald as the head coach, take on the Denver Broncos, Sean Payton and Bo Nix at the starting helm. Seahawks getting are 5.5 point favorites at home. I think that is indicative of Mike McDonald having a star-studded defense to start as the Seattle Seahawks head coach. Obviously, we've talked about Tariq Woolen, we've talked about Devin Witherspoon, we've talked about the defensive line that they've assembled. Um, it's interesting to me them getting 5.5 points a little bit, but they are going against a rookie quarterback. Sean Payton is still trying to rebuild the Denver Broncos into this powerhouse that he once was in the New Orleans Saints, and they've kind of given him the keys to the gate. Wouldn't surprise me if this game is closer. Wouldn't surprise me if the Seahawks blow them out.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous with this one. Maybe because it might have been in my pick six. I don't know. I like the Broncos a lot after seeing them again. I might eat my fucking words on this, but what I saw with my own eyes, I saw the Broncos' first string and second string dismantle the Packers' second and third string. Obviously, our starters didn't play in the preseason, but the starters did play in joint practices, and the Broncos dominated the Packers starters in joint practices on specifically on defense. Jordan Love and the offense struggled against uh who am I how am I missing
Patrick
the one of the
Surtain
Patrick Sertan.
just got a huge contract today, baby.
I I was keep on thinking of Cortland Sutton. Um no, I really like Bo Nix after seeing him play. And I think Sean Payton really likes Bo Nix, and I think he's embracing him as his quarterback. And Bo Nix is a gamer, and do not be surprised if I know this game's in Seattle too, and there's going to be a huge crowd and everything. Bo Nix is from the SEC. Bo Nix is from Oregon. He's been in big fucking crowds. He's played up there in the Northwest. He knows what it's like. So, in my mind, there's not a game too big for Bo Nix. This has upset written all over it. And I got them at +6. So, not +5.5 for me, but uh, yeah, that's my take.
Interesting. All right, we'll head to Cleveland, where the Dallas Cowboys, Mike McCarthy, Dak Prescott, and CeeDee Lamb, with an interesting running back field of Ezekiel Elliott and Dalvin Cook, take on Deshaun Watson, Kevin Stefanski, and the Nick Chubless Cleveland Browns. Big game right out the gate for the Cleveland Browns playing the Dallas Cowboys. Obviously, it's going to be hugely televised because it's a 425 game all around America. It's going to be a big question mark if Deshaun Watson does not play well. A lot of America will see exactly what Cleveland Browns fans have been saying, that he's not the same guy that he was however many years ago it was when he was willing the Texans to some wins. Um, it makes me really sad that Nick Chubb is not going to be playing in this game. I will probably end up wearing my Nick Chubb jersey just because I like it. But I did hear reports that Nick Chubb was ready to go for this game and was ready to run. The Browns opted to put him on the pup so that he had more time to recover and could be in a better shape, in more game shape than he would be for this game. Interesting. We'll see. Obviously, the Browns also added Jerry Jeudy to their roster in the offseason. They really needed a wide receiver too after last year. Elijah Moore was supposed to kind of fill that role. Didn't really, kind of more like a specialist type slot guy. The Browns opted to keep both David Bell and Cedric Tillman. Michael Woods ended up being on the receiving end of the cut, but he actually came back as the practice squad guy. Browns defense returns most of its starters from a year ago. The difference in last year's defense and this year's defense is Anthony Walker, who has had injuries throughout his career with Cleveland, but was the focal point and head linebacker for us, is gone. Jordan Hicks is now the starting middle linebacker. Obviously, we returned Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, who got a contract in the offseason. And a surprise starter for the Browns at the linebacking core is actually Devin Bush. We remember him out of Michigan the same year that Devin White was drafted to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Both linebackers were high draft picks. Devin Bush has not been favored with some injury history, and then actually kind of fell off in Pittsburgh a little bit. Interesting to see him playing and starting. I love it. Martin Emerson on the outside, Grant Delpit, Juan Thornhill over the top. Got Greg Newsome on the other side, maybe Denzel Ward if he clears concussion protocol. I actually think he did clear concussion protocol. And then Za'Darius Smith and Dalvin Tomlinson on the line with Myles Garrett. I'm excited to see that defense. I think we could give some fits for the Dallas Cowboys. I think that the Browns defense might win this game for them.
Uh, yeah, I mean, thanks for naming the entire depth chart. um,
You
um,
do it when you talk about the Packers.
I don't. I give I give the temperature of the game
You
or what
named every starter on the offensive line.
I named three. You are or four. You're correct.
No, you named the entire offensive line
I didn't.
and a backup.
I did not name Elton Jenkins until right now, and I did name a backup though, so that equals out. I will say this: you make me understand why the Browns are favored, but offense wins regular season football games,
True.
and I I still think the passing attack. CeeDee Lamb came back just in time. Um, gosh, I want the Browns to win this game.
So do
I do
I.
not want the Cowboys to win. And I'd love to see Deshaun Watson have a great kick-ass game, throw for 300 yards, and draw some buzz back onto the Browns and take the shit off his back. But I
That
don't
would
know.
be
I
the
hope.
greatest thing. That would be the greatest thing if he came out there fucking slinging it and fucking shut everyone up. That would
Yeah,
be the greatest thing.
and nothing's off the table week one because you really don't know what type of defense you're playing until you got 5 weeks into the season and you really understand who's still a strong defense and sometimes teams just fall off. Uh, I don't think this game is going to be a blowout from either side by any means. I think this is going to be a really close, good game, which is why I think it's a. I'm guessing this is America's game of the week
Yes, it
on
is.
on Fox. Um, but I think the Cowboys win this game, and I think it's going to be because of the offense in the second half.
Interesting. Um, all right, let's go to Tampa Bay, where the Washington Commanders and rookie Jaden Daniels and head coach Dan Quinn take on Todd Bowles and Baker Mayfield with Mike Evans and Rashad White. Obviously, right now the Bucks are getting our 3.5 point favorites with rookie quarterback, new head coach, a lot of new pieces in Washington. One new piece probably eventually will be announced during this season is their new name. Obviously they're going to change the name again or something. I'm excited to watch Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans. A lot of people are really high on Rashad White, but I think that what's going to hold back the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is Todd Bowles. Like he has been a head coach several different times now. He's done it for several seasons now, and he makes these boneheaded game managing moves that don't make any sense. I think Baker can win big games. I think they have big name players that can put up stats and make big plays for them to win games. I really just think that the holdback for them is actually their head coach and Todd Bowles. I'm excited to see Jaden Daniels play. I think that he might adjust to the NFL a little bit slower than Caleb Williams. I think that he is going to be a big time player in the NFL for a long time. I want to see him slide. We saw it before with RG3 in Washington, where, running quarterback made some great plays, was phenomenal his rookie season, but he's got to protect himself. If he's going to play the way he did in college, he has to protect himself. It's an 18 or a 17 game season, and then if you get into the playoffs, it's going to take a lot more for you to win. Bruises and bumps are going to happen, but you got to stay on the field.
Yeah, this is the greatest game of the week that no one's gonna watch. Like this is gonna be. I really like this matchup. I think this is one of the. I don't know. I think this is one of the sneakiest, maybe if you will, wink wink games of the week. But I I don't know. I really like what the Commanders did in the preseason, and I can already tell I'm going to regret putting too much weight into what happens in preseason. But they've got talent on their offense. They've got players. They've got some good players on defense. I do not think they're going to win this game, but I do not think it's going to be the Buccaneers running away with it. And
Hmm.
so I would be surprised if this was a blowout. And I think it'll be a fun one. I think you're going to see some highlights from Jaden Daniels, and he's a fun player to watch. So I think it's going to be one of those games where there's a lot of big plays from both teams.
Do you see that Christian McCaffrey's little brother Luke is named a starter on the outside as a wide receiver two to Terry McLaurin?
Yeah. And now that you said that, I actually take it back. The Buccaneers are going to absolutely kill them. Um, so I'm sorry.
All right, going into Sunday Night Football. The Los Angeles Rams and Sean McVay with Matthew Stafford visit Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions, helmed by Dan Campbell. A rematch of the wild card game that came down to a pivotal fourth down. And Sean McVay opted to punt out of all things. Detroit Lions right now favored by 3.5 points. I feel like that's a little high, but they did go to the NFC Championship game last year. Just Lions, solid team, well coached by Dan Campbell, risky too. A lot of fourth down call, a lot of fourth downs where they go for it on offense. Risk it for the biscuit. Sean McVay, obviously last year he did say that he did regret punting that ball instead of going for it. Matthew Stafford returns. No talk about Matthew Stafford with the plaguing injuries he's had over his NFL career bothering him during the offseason. Cooper Kupp, Puka Nakua enter the season both healthy, unlike last year where Cooper Kupp had the ankle injury going on. Um, I think this is going to be a really fun game for Sunday Night Football. I think that a lot of star power all across the field, defense and offense. I would favor the Lions just for the fact that them being at home.
Yeah, I've thought about this one a lot, and this is probably going to be one of the highest scoring games of that week. And I just think the passing attack of the Rams is so lethal that I think they're going to score points, and it's Matthew Stafford in Detroit. And then I think the Lions have just such a well balanced offense, and they have the Brian Johnson the best offensive coordinator in NFL right now. And honestly, I think it's going to come down to that Lions offensive line and that two pronged running attack with David Montgomery and Jameer Gibbs. I don't see a way that the Rams' young defensive line stops them. I don't know if the Rams' defense can stop the run against one of the top two offensive lines in football and two of the best running backs. Let's say two-headed running attack. I'm not going to say the two of the best running backs, but they're very talented, and I think they're going to just. It'll be second half. It'll be like 20, 28, 24, something like that, or 30-27, and the Lions are just going to run out the clock.
We talked about wide receiver star power earlier in this podcast when we talked about Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. This game has three star-studded wide receivers. Puka Nacua, obviously, with his rookie season last year and his huge breakout, breaking all these different kinds of rookie records. I'm pretty sure he broke Jamar Chase's record. And then Cooper Kupp, obviously. And then don't forget about Detroit Lion Amon-Ra St. Brown, great wide receiver. I do agree with you that this is going to be a good game. I think that the Lions will be able to run the ball. I will be interested to see how the Rams offense and the Lions defense, that chess match plays out. I think that the Lions will be able to move the ball pretty well. Obviously, the Rams will get some stops, but I want to see how the Lions defense plays. Obviously, we saw them at like peak performance last year in the NFC title game where they were really taking it to the 49ers, and then we saw the low end where they just get blown out.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be close on all sides. I do think the Rams are going to be better in the end of the year than they will in the beginning. Not on the offensive side of the ball particularly, but on defense. I think they
Defense.
have a very young defense, and I think they're going to be good. They're not like too young and raw. I mean, those rookies are like 24. I just think they need like a few weeks to tune up to NFL
Adjust.
football.
Yep.
Yeah, and then they'll be better.
All right, we'll go to San Francisco for the first game of Monday Night Football. Actually, no, that's only one game. They did two last year, right? I'm not.
Yeah, they Friday night football happened though this year.
Oh, yeah, Friday night. We need all the days. Anyways, Monday Night Football, last game of the week. We have San Francisco 49ers, Kyle Shanahan, Brock Purdy, and all the weapons back. Kind of like Thanos getting all the Infinity Stones. Facing the New York Jets and Aaron Rodgers and Robert Saleh. I was thinking about this earlier today. I don't know if Robert Salah is a great coach. Like there's been some great games that he has managed as like a coach, remembering back to how the Jets upset the Chiefs last year on what was that Sunday Night Football out of nowhere. And then they have these absolute stinker of games that come out of nowhere. I just don't know what Robert Salah is. Obviously, the big story is Aaron Rodgers returning as quarterback for the New York Jets with his injury last year, only playing 4 plays. Very interested to see how the Jets offense will actually be now that Aaron Rodgers is available.
Yeah, I don't know who Robert Salah is. I know Robert Salah,
I don't know
but
how to say his name.
uh, the I'm just laughing. The other funny name that you've gotten wrong throughout this podcast, not just this episode but others, is it's Shane is the GM for the Giants, even though it's you keep on saying Shone.
I don't care.
Um,
It's spelled Shown.
um. Anyways, uh, yeah, I this game I'm excited to watch. Let's just say that it's. I
Oh
was
yeah.
excited to watch. I was excited to watch Aaron Rodgers last year on Monday Night Football. And I think we were doing our podcast, and then I had to end it really quick.
I
Was
remember
I
I
doing?
remember we rushed off because Monday Night
Yes,
Football was about to start. We were
because
recapping week 1 and we rushed off in order to watch the game and
Rodgers was running with the flag on the
with the
field.
flag.
and I was like, I have to go see this. And then, I mean, that was short lived. And I think I made like a very declarative statement. I can't remember last year, week one, on what Rodgers and the offense was going to do. But you know what? I um I think they're going to be very good this year. I don't know if they're going to beat the 49ers. I do love Aaron Rodgers when he's in California, specifically in San Fran, his hometown team from when he was a kid and where he was grown up and raised. I think it's a very storybook career for Rodgers, and he typically wins some of those iconic storybook games in big time primetime moments during the regular season. So I'll probably say the Jets win this game out of out of some crazy thing, but I'm not betting anything near this thing.
Not touching it with a 10-foot pole. All right, let's head into
Yeah,
third down. Best matchup of the week?
you go first.
I'm interested in this Houston Indianapolis game. We talked about it with Anthony Richardson. I'm trying to stay away from like the America's game of the week and then the primetime games. I'm trying to talk about a different game that's probably not going to be very featured. So I'm interested in the Houston Indianapolis game. I'm interested to see how the Houston offense comes together with Stephon Diggs and Joe Mixon now, and then also kind of adding some pieces on the offensive line. And then having the additions on defense as well. Interested to see how Anthony Richardson comes back to the NFL, how he performs. They also have what is his name? Adonai Mitchell from Texas now with Michael Pittman on the outside.
I don't know. Yeah,
Um, so interested to see there. You did mention it before. Jonathan Taylor is healthy to start the season. They didn't have that a year ago. Also, he had the contract dispute thing. So interested to see how this AFC South matchup week one plays out between these two teams, which could be a pivotal game down the road if the Texans end up losing a divisional game to the Colts.
yeah. That's a really good game, as I agree with. I think this is one of the. I mean, the NFL schedule does it this way, but this is such a great primetime slate. If you look at Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, or I mean, sorry, Sunday night, and then Monday night. Like all four games you can pick, you can't go wrong. There's other good games week one. I just think with the storyline, I think the best matchup's got to be the Rams Lions
Yeah.
again, and Stafford getting his revenge. Um, so I got the Rams and the Lions. I think that's going to be an incredible game on Sunday Night Football. And going into sneakiest matchup, I'll just say mine. I got the Commanders and Bucks, as I already said and alluded to. I like the ability of the Commanders to keep it interesting. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think the Commanders are going to be a fun team to watch this season, and we should all just keep our ears plugged to the updates on the TV as the Browns and the Cowboys are on, so that we see what's happening with Jaden Daniels' rookie debut.
I like the way that you went with that one with Jaden Daniels, so I'll go with the number one overall pick in this last year's draft. Sneakiest matchup could be that Tennessee Titans Chicago Bears game. We'll be able to look at Will Levis again, second year. Let's see how he progresses. And then on the other side of the ball, we'll see how Caleb Williams performs with all his weapons. I feel like the Bears offense has a lot of weapons with DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, DeAndre Swift, Cole Kmet, and Rome Odunze. I feel like he is set in such a good position to as a rookie to be successful. And I think that that is going to probably become must-watch TV.
Yeah, I agree. Um, I I think it's going to be pretty high expectations for a rookie quarterback with the Bears, but I don't think Caleb Williams gives a shit.
No, it
As he
does
said
not
in
sound like he does.
as he said in Hard Knocks, he doesn't get nervous. Um, so whatever that means. Fourth down, which really should be the best and sneakiest matchup, but we went out of order. Fourth down, lock and upset of the week.
You got yours
My
right off the bat?
Yeah, my lock is Cincinnati.
Your
And this is
lock?
money line. Uh,
Cole Lock Cincy.
and my upset is Dallas over the Browns.
Ooh, thanks, man.
Sorry.
It's okay. The Browns are probably going to lose that game anyways. My upset is the New York Giants over the Minnesota Vikings. My lock of the week, I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs over the Baltimore Ravens. So I could start this year 0-1 tomorrow.
Kansas City Chiefs is your lock.
Yeah,
Wow.
lock it up.
Okay.
We watched them lose the first game of the year last year. I don't think they're getting a repeat of that.
What was it that we did last year? Who's on fire or something?
Um, who's got the juice?
Who's got the juice?
We end with that though. We might change it.
Just
We could change it to anytime touchdown players.
oh,
Over.
I just realized we didn't do pick six yet.
Yeah, we're getting into that now.
Yeah, obviously. Okay. Um, I have my six picks. Do
All
you want me
right.
to go down my line?
No, we go 1-1.
All right. Well, that's what I meant. Um, my first one, Chicago -4.
Okay, Chicago -4.
Now I had the line at -4
Yeah, I
when I
talked
put
about it being -4.5 now. I'll take your -4.
okay because I put the money in already. Um,
Okay. Um, my first lock, or not lock, my first pick, I will take the Indianapolis Colts to cover the 2.5 points.
okay. Since I'm driving, are you writing this down?
Yes.
Okay. I have mine written down.
Okay, who's your next?
I got Cincinnati -8.5, which I think it's 7.5 now. But
I just updated this.
what is it right now?
8.5 still.
Okay, cool.
I will take that is completely opposite of what I just said. Hmm. Hate to do it to you, but I'll take the Eagles -2.5.
Okay. I got the Houston Texans -2.5.
Texans -2.5. I'll take the New Orleans Saints -3.5.
I had them -4, but I'll give you -3.5.
All right, I gave you the half point on Chicago.
Okay, and then I got the LA Chargers -3 against
Charge
Vegas.
Chargers -3. Talked all that shit about Bo Nix, and then you go against them. Oh wait, they're not
What,
playing. Never
what
mind.
are you
Sorry.
talking? What are you
Sorry.
talking about?
I'm gonna take the Bucks -3.5.
Okay, I have Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos +6 against the Seattle Seahawks.
Broncos +6. And then I will, for my last one, take the Bills -6.5.
I have Dallas +2.5.
Dallas +2.5. +2.5. And final pick. Mm, I'll take the Dolphins to cover 3.5.
It's a good one.
All right. That covers pick six, guys. Follow our picks. We'll post them on our Twitter account. Um, obviously, Cole's already put in his money. I haven't yet. This was the first time I looked at it. Maybe I'll change it. Maybe I'll add more to the card. Who knows? I'll go crazy. Do you have any specials, like anytime touchdown guys this week that you're looking at that it's gonna score week
Yeah,
one?
we should do a prop bet one prop bet instead of who's got the juice.
Yeah.
Um, I think if people are looking for easy money, I just think Dontavian Wicks, 28 and a half yards receiving is a lock. And you could even go 2.5 receptions over, but I just he's a dynamic player and he's a really big part of the offense. And I think the 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 NFL public and the non diehard Packers fan community see the Packers offense and they just see so many players that they don't know where to go with it. But the truth is, Dontavian Wicks, you should bet on getting over 30 yards every single game. He
I was
will
gonna
get
I was
probably
going to ask you, who do you think at the end of the season is going to have the most receiving yards for the Packers?
whoever whoever plays the most games. I think Christian Watson, if he plays 17 games, I wouldn't be surprised if it's him. Jaden Reed, if he plays, it just depends on who's actually playing, but it's got to be. I mean, I think Romeo Dobbs is got to be the favorite there. But I know Love really likes to throw to uh, Dobbs and Jaden Reed in the clutch. Wicks, Wicks early on in games, and Christian Watson just for like scripted plays. So like
Hmm.
that's my consensus. But yeah, whatever.
I'm looking at something right now. My prop bet that I would be surprised if this does not hit is Jalen Waddle plus 180 to score a touchdown. I think that the Jacksonville Jaguars defense will key in on Tyreek Hill, opening up the field for Jalen Waddle, who's also a burner. So that's where my stance is. Also, I really liked Devontae Smith for the Philadelphia Eagles plus 170.
Yeah, Saquon Barkley like 63 and a half rushing yards. I took that one. Um, that's a no-brainer. So there's a lot of them. I think AJ Brown receiving yards is another really good one. So pick your poison.
Pick your poison. All right. Anything else you want to talk about?
That's all.
That is a wrap for MnM going deep. Actually, pause. There is something we need to talk about. Super Bowl.
Oh shit, good call. Um, and punishment.
Yeah, we got to talk
Picks
about that.
punishment.
What did I say
Uh,
last time?
you didn't even do it last year.
We didn't think of one.
Um, double or nothing this year.
Okay. Double or nothing.
Uh, for Super Bowl, gosh, I had this thought of, then I've changed my mind on the week. I will go Lions. I'm gonna go Lions and Ravens.
Lions and Ravens. That was the Super Bowl matchup last year that I was hoping for. Um, for me, I think I will go with the Chiefs and the NFC.
Fuck me,
Hmm.
I'm getting pulled over. I'm getting pulled over. I just went 20 over and I got fuck me. Go
All
ahead,
right, hang
say
up, hang up, hang up, hang up, hang up, hang
no.
up the
I'm
phone.
good. I'm good.
Okay. Are you serious?
Yeah, well, I don't know why I was going 19 over and he didn't pull me over.
Um, I'm gonna go with the Chiefs and the Rams. Chiefs versus Rams. And the Chiefs are going to win three in a row. That's not the Super Bowl I want, but I'm just spitballing here.
Okay. You, you picked the Super Bowl winner.
Yeah, I picked my Super Bowl winner, the Chiefs. Who
All right, I
wins?
got the
Who wins, Lions or Ravens?
I got the Lions.
Lions to win the Super Bowl. Dan Campbell would probably get a statue built if he fucking wins the Super Bowl for Detroit. Yeah, I'll go with the Chiefs. My actual Super Bowl prediction, I really think that the Bengals will return to the Super Bowl and play the 49 or either the 49ers or Eagles. And I think that one of those three teams would win the Super Bowl
Why didn't you pick that then?
because I want to curse the Chiefs.
Oh, I got you.
By me
Uh,
picking them, they won't win.
that makes sense. I I will. My dream Super Bowl matchup is Packers Jets.
Packers, Jets. Yeah, I think you said that last year.
That would just make my decade.
Decade. All right, that is a wrap for MnM going deep. Now, we'll follow you guys all through the NFL season, keep you updated. Episodes will be sporadic because of Cole's and I's schedule. I have to move in 2 weeks. Cole just moved.
I move
Very,
Friday.
you move on Friday? I thought you were in the
Next
process.
Friday.
Okay.
Next
See,
Friday.
we fucking are all over the United States, going back and forth between different locations and things like that. I also had the biggest project of my life due this week. So that is that. That is a wrap for Eminem going deep. We'll see you guys next week. Go Browns.